Hey guys, it's Jack Cypher here. Today we're going to be talking about Caesar Clown. Now this is a little bit of a change of pace because our last few character analysis videos have all been of quite morally good characters. Characters that had a lot to them, a lot of substance, a lot of character development. But this time we're doing a complete 180 and talking about a true scumbag. It's a character. You don't get many characters in fiction that you can say are just truly evil. And the man that we're talking about today certainly fits that category. We all know Caesar Clown if you're up to date with One Piece. If we were ranking the villains in One Piece on their villainous deeds, I would say Caesar Clown could definitely be in the top three. Now, that is just a statistic I've just thrown off the top of my head, but looking into it more, I could definitely see that to be true. Of course, you have people like Kaido, Big Mom, Doflamingo, but even someone like Blackbeard, the deeds that he has done kind of just pale in comparison to Caesar. And Blackbeard is a really interesting person to bring up here because I'm gonna, segue into a few different things, a few little interesting facts about Caesar that we don't get in the story. It's just things where Oda may have been going with the character. There's actually quite a lot there, more than you guys may have thought. An example of this is, like I said with Blackbeard, Caesar's name could come from a real life pirate. We know that Oda likes to do this from time to time. An easy example is Blackbeard himself. Another one is Bellamy Black, a real life pirate, and we have Bellamy in One Piece. And there are a few others you can go over. But one of the pirates back in the day was a man known as Black Caesar. He was an African slave who ended up joining Edward Thatcher's or Blackbeard's crew. Now, during that time period in our real life history, the stories aren't so like concrete on everything that was happening, but there was definitely a man named Black Caesar that was on Blackbeard's ship. Just the fact that Oda has potentially given him a name with a reference to a real life pirate actually goes to show us that in Oda's mind, Caesar was most likely supposed to be a fairly important character. Now, you could say that Bellamy himself wasn't that important, but when you think about it, he came back into the story. Like, he played a decent part in Dressrosa, and he was the main antagonist of an arc. Now, these characters, Bellamy and Caesar, that is, might not be your main crocodile, Doflamingo tier threats, but they were main antagonists of arcs. In Caesar's case, it was a fairly substantial arc. Jaya was a little bit, there was only a few episodes in that, but Caesar has had a big chunk of screen time. Now, another name that Caesar could be referencing here, and it's more than just his name, but it's a person you guys will be more familiar with, Julius Caesar from Rome, obviously. The reason why why there's a lot of ties connecting Caesar to Julius Caesar, one, the name, duh. Two, when Caesar goes into his Shinokuni form, the land of the death form, when he absorbs all the gas, he gets a massive crown on his head. Now, the real life Caesar never technically became like the emperor of Rome. He didn't hold that title. But for his time in power, he was very much considered a king. And also, another fun fact that you guys may not have known, Caesar back in the day was actually captured. I believe it was by Sicilian pirates. Now, I won't talk too much on it because this video is already going to be long enough. I've often thought about making videos on mythological characters and ancient historical characters. Are we going to call Julius Caesar a character? You know what I'm talking about. It's something I'll probably never do on this main channel because this is mainly an anime channel. But potentially in the future, making a second channel going over things like mythology and ancient history could be in the works. So if that's something you guys would like to see, just leave it down in the comments. But those are three kind of reasons why you could consider Oda trying to show some parallels there. Because, like we know, Caesar does get captured and taken hostage by the Straw Hat Pirates. Now, it is interesting, like, in a lot of people's mind, Caesar, Julius Caesar that is like one of the most beloved people from history for people to learn about. You know, he's up there with Alexander the Great type of stuff. So for Oda to very potentially have given all these similarities with with Caesar, alluding to Caesar, it's very much odd. And I think it kind of comes down to the fact that not so much Oda and his intentions of the part Caesar would play in the story, but just the joy that he had writing him. And that also segues into the next interesting fact I wanted to bring up about Caesar. His voice actor is the same guy that plays Mayuri Kuratsuchi from Bleach, another very famous, crazy scientist. And he was also another character that Kubo, the author of Bleach, absolutely loved. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Kuratsuchi was Kubo's favorite character. I could be wrong about that one. Leave it down in the comments if I'm just being a dumb idiot. So, very potentially, Kubo and Oda really love writing and drawing deranged scientists. And who wouldn't? Caesar is a riot. He's a true scumbag, an absolute psychopath. But whenever he's on screen, I must say, he's quite engaging. And the first aspects of Caesar's life that we know of, we don't have any backstory of when he was a kid. That would have been a horrible childhood. I'm talking about worse than the worst type of childhoods you can imagine, because of this childhood that Caesar had has produced one of the worst people in like One Piece's living memory. It would be very funny if we actually found out that he didn't have a difficult backstory at all, that he was just some regular kid and he's like, "Oh, I like science," and decided he wanted to kill everyone. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. The first time I keep saying that, Jack, you're an idiot. Not the first time we see him. The first information that we learn about him is that he was part of the criminal science group known as MADS. Now, MADS was stacked with very top-tier scientists, intelligent characters. Scientists, intelligent characters? Does that make sense? You know what I'm trying to say. You had people like Queen from Kaido's crew. You had Judge from the Vinsmoke family. You had... Oh, Stussy. What's Stussy's first name? Stussy's first name. Buckingham Stussy. She was part of Rox's crew. We had Caesar himself, and we had the man, the myth, the legend, goddamn Vegapunk, the smartest man in all of One Piece. Like, these 5 characters could very well have accomplished anything with their level of intelligence. There was really no limit to what they could have done. Their only limit, actually, was themselves, because they all truly despised Vegapunk because he was more intelligent than all of them. The others were kind of essentially fighting, and mainly it was Queen, Judge, and Caesar. They were fighting over who could be the second best scientist. And like a lot of super intelligent people, whether it's in fiction or the real life, they come with a lot of pride. That pride baggage is intense. And Caesar is no exception here. He hated Vegapunk. Truly despised him because of how intelligent Vegapunk was. That no matter what Caesar did, no matter what inventions he made, what he cooked up in his goddamn evil mastermind head, Vegapunk was just making things that were even beyond what Caesar could fathom. And Vegapunk wasn't even using it for notorious purposes. All he wanted was to build a better future for the citizens of the One Piece world. And I reckon that was even a double kick in the shin to Caesar, because to see such an altruistic man, I know I kind of said that wrong, leave me alone, with Vegapunk, it would be a and it was a very, very tough pill for Caesar to swallow. And his animosity to Vegapunk carries on through Caesar's entire life. If we're talking about Caesar's entire life, another interesting fact actually, side note, did you guys know that Caesar's age was retconned? He was originally 40 years old when he was introduced, but due to his relationship with Vegapunk, it was actually retconned to 55. Just an interesting fact for you all. It got so bad that Vegapunk was seeing all of Caesar's just horrible, inhumane experiments that he's kicked Caesar off his team. And Caesar couldn't handle being rejected, especially rejected by the man that he despised so much. And he despised him so much because, and this is just my headcanon here, he was so jealous of him. We all know what type of hatred envy breeds. And to be dismissed by someone you were so envious of, we'll use another sin here. Caesar was lustful of everything that Vegapunk could do. He wasn't lusting after Vegapunk, I'm sure there's a lot of fan fiction about that, but lusting after Vegapunk's intelligence. Because in Caesar's mind, if he had Vegapunk's brain, pun intended, that Caesar would be able to accomplish anything. He would have all the money in the world that he would want. We know what he uses that money on. He uses it on alcohol and he uses it on women to live a very hedonistic lifestyle. And in his mind, Caesar that is, he could be using that intelligence to live the life of the king that, he wasn't a king, but the king that he was named after. And that's what Caesar wanted. He wants to live a very comfortable and lavish lifestyle while on the side getting his true rocks off by murdering islands and islands worth of people. He's a goddamn Sith Lord with how many people Caesar wants to kill. It is ridiculous. But after Caesar demotes him from his team that they're currently working on, Caesar, in his anger, goes and hits, while this is going on, I should say, they're on Punk Hazard, before Punk Hazard looked like Punk Hazard. Caesar threw a hissy fit and it detonated a weapon of mass destruction, a poisonous bomb that destroyed two of the labs that were on the island and spread out a toxic gas that paralyzed everyone on the island. The people that were really affected by it were the criminals that were being used as guinea pigs. And after he set this off, there's a commotion. He gets taken prisoner. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. He gets taken prisoner, and thanks to his devil fruit powers, he's able to escape. He ends up making his way back to Punk Hazard, and he pulls a truly deplorable move. Those people that he just paralyzed, he now presents himself as their savior. He goes goddamn Gandalf the White on them. He neutralizes all the poison on the island, and he comes to them, I'm Jesus, I'm the one that saved you, I'm the benevolent master, you guys are going to follow me now, and I'm your new lord. And that's what they do. Because they haven't seen this, they haven't seen the other side, the true side of Caesar. The side that just gets an immense sick joy in killing people. What they've seen is the kind, benevolent master that only has their best interests at heart. Not only does he get rid of all the toxic gas, but he uses his scientific powers to create inventions to help these paralyzed people to walk again. He gives them back their legs, essentially. He's giving them back their freedom that he stole. And he's doing it under the guise of what's the word I'm looking for? It's not the word I was going for, but he's disguising himself as a godly figure to these people, a savior. It's truly, truly disgusting. Another character that falls for this ruse as well is a pirate known as Brownbeard. You know, he got the short end of the beards in this case. A pirate that got manhandled by one of the Supernova, Basil Hawkins. He retreats to Punk Hazard injured. The poison gas that was there infects him. He becomes paralyzed as well. And it is Caesar that comes and gives him his legs back. And that's important here because Brownbeard isn't just some average criminal like the ones that Caesar paralyzed beforehand. Now, he's by no means the sharpest tool in the shed. Like we said, he's by no means the greatest beard around. But he's a pirate that had a quite substantial bounty. You know, we're not talking about hundreds of millions, but it was quite high. And to gain a follower like that who was so loyal to you just goes to show how much people were taken by Caesar's fake benevolence. He was quite good at playing the part, and he played it quite well, and he played it for quite long as well. Because these events that happened on Punk Hazard, Caesar causing the explosion that crippled everyone, that happened 4 years ago. So it happened 2 years before the start of the story. So for 4 years, he's just chilling on the island playing master. Now, he gets up to some more mischief, let's call it, on the island. He starts creating poisonous weapons to be sold on the black market for shits and giggles. He also gets into a partnership with Joker, an underground broker who we all know as Don Quixote Doflamingo, the heavenly demon himself, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and you guessed it, everyone's favorite celestial dragon. Now, this partnership that these two created benefits both of them greatly. Caesar's part to play in it all is that he creates this chemical substance known as SAD, S-A-D. And this chemical is what Doflamingo uses to create an artificial devil fruit known as a smile fruit. What does Doflamingo do with these smile fruits? He sells them to probably the worst person you could sell them to, one of the 4 emperors of the sea, Kaido. Why does Kaido want them? He wants them to create an army of Zoan fruit eaters or users, or just devil fruit users in general, to further his beast pirate strength. And that's what the smiles are. They're artificial Zoan devil fruits that don't work in the same way that normal Zoan fruits work. They don't allow you to transform completely into an animal. It allows you to grow animal parts on top of yourself. Oda draws them. It's one of Oda's kind of best designs, I reckon. It looks absolutely silly, but some of the smile devil fruits that he's given to people of the Beast crew was just a joy to watch. But that's neither here nor there. That's a Kaido video, a Beast Pirate video. We'll get into that later in a different video, that is. But Caesar, under this partnership with Doflamingo, gains an immunity, if you want to call it that. He gains protection from Doflamingo. And Caesar is by no means against using that protection for his own good. Because he knows that he can do whatever he wants, and he's got Doflamingo in his back pocket to clean it all up, to cover it all up. And he uses that in a lot of different ways. One way he uses it is to benefit his other shady dealings with another one of the Yonko, Big Mom. Because he's been working for Big Mom. She provides him, like a grant. She provides him income to turn her and the rest of the Charlotte family into giants. Now, Caesar knows that he can't turn people into giants. like adults into giants. He starts experimenting on it, and what he does do is, I'm just trying to think here. You know what? I'm gonna just come out and say it. Probably the most deplorable act in all of One Piece. Let me know down in the comments if I'm missing something, but it's quite possibly the most heinous thing any character in One Piece has done. And that is that to experiment on this idea of turning people into giants, he uses a bunch of abducted children. You heard me, abducted children. He fills them up with drugs. He gets them addicted to drugs. Literally, kids. These are kids under 10. He gets them addicted to drugs so these kids can't leave the island because they need this drug to be able to function, like we see with real life drugs in our real world. And Caesar then starts messing around with them, giving them all type of drugs to do a process known as gigantification. And it's as it sounds. He tries to turn them inhumanly large, and he succeeds to a point. And the cost of succeeding though in this area is that these kids won't live for more than 5 years because of all the damage that Caesar has done to them. But he doesn't care about that. He's a deplorable human. He sees these kids as a means to an end. They're just research subjects. Why would he have any care for mere research subjects? They're his toys to play with. And the fact that he's doing this on children, out of everyone in the world that you'd probably feel some sort of, some sort of regret in ruining the life of, you would imagine there would be a children. But Caesar, not Caesar. He bloody takes joy in it. He takes pleasure in causing suffering to anyone. The weaker the target, probably the greater his pleasure. He reminds me of, from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in Part 3, the guy that has the Egyptian god Set ability, where he's able to turn people into babies, and he takes joy in killing them when they're in that form. Really hoping that doesn't get demonetized on YouTube. Well, not demonetized, but taken down. But it's as it sounds. Caesar, like that guy, I can't remember his name, I'll put it up on the screen, is definitely the type of person that just takes sick enjoyment about being in a position of power and causing harm on people that can't even defend themselves. It is truly sickening. And through this action, we see that he's in the pocket of, he's in the pocket of Kaido through Doflamingo, but in the pocket of 2 warlords and a goddamn warlord. I just heard what I said. 2 Yonko, mind you, and 1 warlord. Jesus Christ, Jack, that wasn't so difficult. But those are the things that Caesar's getting up to while our story is progressing. We haven't even got it up to when Luffy gets to his goddamn island and meets the devil himself. We're going to get into that in 1 second. And don't worry, guys, that part will go much quicker than this. This is the more fundamental part of this video where we learn about just what type of a sick individual Caesar truly is. I've been raving about this lunatic's past for enough now, though. Let's get into his appearance in the current day story of One Piece. So we have the Straw Hats that managed to make their way to Punk Hazard. Now, Punk Hazard has been changed. It's not just an island filled with poisonous gas anymore. It is an island that is covered in ice and lava. And why is that? Because goddamn Aokiji and Akainu went balls to the walls and had a full-on fight and completely changed the landscape of the island. This brings up a very funny question. Let me know, guys, where do you think Caesar was while these 2 behemoths were going goddamn cataclysmic on each other? They literally almost brought on Armageddon, these 2. Is Caesar just sitting in his tower, just scared out of his mind? He's in his gas form and he's in one of his vials or whatever, just shaking, petrified that these two monsters are gonna freaking freeze and then melt his face off? Was he out off the island at the time? Who the hell knows? Did Akainu and Aokiji, surely those two with their observational haki must have been able to sense living creatures on the island. But even if Caesar wasn't there, he got word that this was happening and he hightailed it out of there. His freaking servants, his goddamn people that he saved and turned into slaves essentially, surely he didn't take them with him. Surely they would still be on the island and would have been sensed. Who knows? Is that just a little bit of a plot hole there? Or do we like the idea better that they were all huddled together, terrified of the two gods that were clashing outside? Either way, let me know down in the comments what you think. But we first see he gets notified that G5 is coming and that the Straw Hats have landed. He takes Monet's observation that the Straw Hats are most likely going to be stronger than what their wanted posters suggest. And he shows a very... what's the word? He shows a very critical side to him. Not a critical side, sorry. A very cautious side to his personality here. Because he doesn't just confront them as soon as they appear. He talks to Joker, Doflamingo, first to make sure that he has permission to kill the Marines and wipe out the Straw Hats. He needed to go talk to Daddy first, just to make sure that he wasn't going to get spanked if he freaking disobeyed his rules. He's very much subservient to Doflamingo. But after a while, he comes out of his little goddamn hidey hole, like the little cockroach that he is, and he confronts... It's Tashigi and Smoker, who aren't in their current bodies, they've been switched. Luffy, Franky, and Robin. He appears in front of them and he... I hate to even give him credit for this. He actually pulls off a pretty ridiculous feat. He beats all of them. And he beats them kind of at once without taking any damage. I know. This arsehole, cowardly piece of shit that I've been talking about just took down 5 of some of the strongest characters in the series. How does he do this? Thanks to his Devil Fruit. Absolute overpowered Devil Fruit. And one of those abilities of his Devil Fruit is known as the Airless World. And as the name suggests, he's able to take out all the oxygen in his immediate vicinity. And he uses that and he robs them all of oxygen and they all end up passing out. They don't really have a counter to it. And he gets a W over our MC. Not many people can say that. He's only ever, truly been defeated by people like Kaido and Big Mom. Big Mom didn't I'm not even going to say Big Mom, because it's not like Luffy, passed out or anything like that. He got truly wrecked by Kaido more than once. He got truly wrecked by Crocodile more than once. He got obliterated by Magellan. And he gets obliterated by Caesar. You wouldn't be putting Caesar's name on that pedestal of top tier strong characters. Luffy, of course, gets beaten by Eneru as well halfway through their fight, but like I said, it's like a Big Mom situation. He doesn't get... And kind of no, because, I forgot a character. Big Mom and Eneru are a little bit different because, like we were saying, he doesn't get, properly, knocked unconscious. One other character that truly puts him in his place, though, is Lucci from CP9. He doesn't get knocked unconscious, but Lucci really takes him to town with essentially one attack. But anyway, I was getting a bit carried away there. So he takes them all out. He then goes to where Usopp and Nami are with Brownbeard and with the gigantified children. And he then goes on more of a winning streak. He takes down Usopp and Nami by the same means that he took down all the others, and I'm pretty sure he uses his Gastanet ability to blow up Brownbeard. Of course, Brownbeard doesn't die in that explosion, but he takes Brownbeard out, and he just takes all the children away. Why? Because he's currently possessing the drug that they're all so addicted to. The drug that he made them all addicted to. It's... He's really going on a villain goddamn victory tour here. He's just succeeding. There's no stopping him. But we know it doesn't continue on that way. And before we get into the next scene I want to talk about, I should say that we talked about him being very jealous of Vegapunk. He's very prideful, and it hurts his pride that Vegapunk is so much better than him. Another example of this is actually with Luffy when he tries to poison Luffy, but Luffy kind of negates it because he has an immunity to it from being poisoned by Magellan, and Caesar does not like this comparison. The fact that he's being compared to the possessor of the Doki Doki no Mi, a weakened version, at least in Caesar's mind, of his own Gas fruit, is just an insult that he can't tolerate. He embraces his inner crazy, and he unleashes everything on Luffy. But after he goes on his goddamn victory lap of taking everyone down, still pisses me off that he was able to do all that. Not him beating them is like, I don't care that a villain does that, but the fact that it was Caesar is just, infuriating. Oda really made us hate this guy and made us really yearn for his downfall. Because with the help of Virgo, he also bloody captures Law, a warlord, and he throws all of them in a prison cell. It's like he's bloody trophies of conquest. Maybe he really is Julius Caesar. Could you imagine? Goddamn 2,000 years ago, this is what Caesar was doing? I mean, Caesar's up there with some real life Caesar that is up there for some heinous shit, but anyway. He captures them all, and he broadcasts what's going to be their demise in Caesar's mind. He's going to execute them all to all the underworld brokers of the One Piece world. Because this is now a demonstration of Caesar's new weapon of mass destruction. With how much this guy loves creating weapons that kill people, how much he loves experimenting on people, it's like he was goddamn kissed by death itself. Did death come down and goddamn conceive a child, and that child was bloody Caesar? He is a true abomination with how much he likes to kill people. It is ridiculous. Having said that, he doesn't actually have many on-screen deaths, so he's a bit of an incompetent failure in that respect. But I'm sure the amount of people that he's killed off-screen thanks to his inventions are oceans worth of people. Anyway, the weapon that he's going to demonstrate is the Shinokuni weapon. It is basically when Vegapunk came back to the island. Vegapunk? Seriously? Could you imagine Vegapunk doing this shit? Jack, get it together. When Caesar came back to the island after goddamn nuking it, not only did he neutralize the gas, but he toyed with it. He constructed it into a weapon. And he gave it an artificial Zoan fruit, which was an axolotl fruit. And he made this poisonous gas sentient. And he named it Smiley. He has a horrible naming sense, whatever. But Smiley he unleashes, and he presents a candy and puts it in front of the cage where he wants to unleash his explosion and everything. Smiley makes his way down. I might do a separate video on Smiley and maybe Caesar's Devil Fruit to put the two together. But he eats this, and the slime physical form of his explodes into poison gas. And that is the Shinokuni. And, sorry guys. And this gas works in an interesting way. It doesn't, you don't like absorb it and then just die by illness. It actually petrifies you. He's going Medusa on your asses, and he petrifies everyone that this gas comes in contact with. But our main cast isn't going to be killed that easily, and they manage to escape. And Luffy ends up tracking Caesar down, and they have their first kind of proper fight. It's quite rewarding, like I said, getting to see Luffy beat the shit out of Caesar, and it's very heartwarming. I'm actually going to use to see Luffy finally be able to hit a Logia user, because for the longest time, pre-time skip, every time Luffy came across one of these guys, as an audience, we felt so powerless because we knew that Luffy wasn't even going to be able to hit them. Of course, he was able to use some creative methods, water with Crocodile, his own rubber body for Eneru, but we knew that there were just some of these characters that he wouldn't be able to beat. Like, how are you supposed to touch light? When Kizaru at Marineford was kicking the shit out of him, I truly felt like, what is Luffy going to do to, like, stop this guy? Like, ever. But, so seeing Luffy be able to lay the smackdown on Caesar was just so rewarding to see. We don't get the total payoff there though, because as he's beating Caesar down, Monet steps in, protects Caesar, and she lets Caesar get away, and she confronts Luffy. Now, I just brought out a few days ago a video on Monet, so go check that one out. A little bit of self-advertising from me there. I thought it was quite a good video. Go check it out. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter than what this goddamn video is going to be. But Monet helps Caesar escape. It's not all hope's lost though, because Luffy is able to, he gets away from Monet. He climbs up the garbage chute. We get introduced to Momonosuke, and Luffy ends up confronting Caesar, and that's when we get to see Luffy just really take Caesar's ass to the goddamn Smackdown Hotel. He goes to town on him and beats the shit out of him. Caesar at this time is in his Shinokuni form, like I said. He has absorbed all of the toxic gas into himself and made himself giant. And Luffy, when he's hitting him, he's getting petrified as he's doing it. But he pushes through, and he just sends Caesar hurtling into the distance. And as we see Caesar being, laying there defeated, in one last act of true pettiness, like, he's such a petty character. He possesses what he believes is Smoker's heart. And, in Caesar's weakened moment, he's like, you know what I want to do? I want to goddamn kill Smoker. So he grabs a knife and he stabs the heart, thinking that it's going to kill the Vice Admiral. But Law's pulled a little bit of a sneaky, and the heart that he's stabbing is actually Monet's. And in his pettiness, he actually prevents himself from winning. Because we know what Monet was going to do. She was going to unleash a poison weapon that would have killed everyone but Caesar. So Caesar would have left Punk Hazard totally victorious because everyone else would have been dead. But he literally gets in his own way. It's the perfect example of he put the goddamn cart in front of the horse, and he let his own want for vengeance, his own lust to settle his own pettiness to get in the way, and he doomed himself. Because the Straw Hats and Law capture him, they use him as a hostage to try weaken Doflamingo. I'm not going to touch on anything really in Dressrosa, because all that Caesar's used for is a hostage. It's quite refreshing to see. The Straw Hats absolutely despise him, as does everyone. And to see them just getting all their frustrations out on him is just very rewarding to see. So Caesar tags along with them to Zou. Caesar stays with the Straw Hats for a long time, like in real life, like years and years into the manga. And he joins them in Zou, and the Straw Hats force him to, well, at least half the Straw Hats that are there, force him to deneutralize the poison gas that is currently spread among Zou, because Jack, one of the calamities of Kaido's crew, has unleashed a poison weapon there. Oh, I also want to mention, guys, if I'm sounding very nasally, it's because I'm still a little bit sick. I can kind of hear myself, and it sounds awful. Please just try and bear with it. If my tangents and goddamn talking over myself haven't put you off this video, I'm hoping my nasally voice won't. I don't always sound like this, I promise you. Anyway, Jack's there. Jack's being Jack. He's gonna Jack, and he poisons everyone. And like we said, the Straw Hats manhandle Caesar into neutralizing the poison. We see Caesar being more despicable here because he's so proud of the weapon that's well, it hasn't paralyzed, but that's damaged Zou and all its inhabitants so much. Just, I feel like I'm beating a goddamn broken drum here with... I'm running out of words to describe Caesar. Sick, twisted, mad, crazy, deplorable, a monster, a scumbag, a psychopath, a sociopath, goddamn evil incarnate, the devil himself, a goddamn crazy motherfucker. That is what Caesar is. That's what his personality section of the video is. You know, we've touched on his pettiness, we've touched on his pride, we've touched on his jealousy. All you need to know is what I just ended that last sentence with. He's a crazy motherfucker. That is what he is. Anyway, I had to get that out there because I'm just going to be repeating myself with words to describe the type of monster that Caesar is. But he's used to, like I said, to neutralize the gas. He ends up going with them to goddamn Whole Cake Island. He gets captured by Big Mom because she expects him to kind of own up to his end of the deal. She's been paying him all this money that he's been goddamn spending on hookers, and she wants to see results. And Caesar is kind of shitting himself because he knows what she's asking can't be done. And I'm on Big Mom's side here. It's like, put that arsehole in his place. And Capone Gangbang, or Gangbenji, one of the Supernovas, rescues him from Big Mom because he wants Caesar to form a weapon that can kill Big Mom. And Caesar's kind of interested in the challenge of it. He creates weapons, these missile rocket launchers full of poison that hypothetically should be able to kill Mom. I very much doubt that they would be able to. But anyway, they all think that these weapons will work. And it's these weapons that are the core of the assassination of Big Mom's, the plan that the Straw Hats and the Fire Tank Pirates go on to eliminate the Yonko. And it's Caesar's invention that is the catalyst of them being able to try to do that. He also plays kind of the Uber driver for them all, because they're using Brulee's mirror world to get around, and it's Caesar who has to fly the mirror everywhere. He ends up doing his job, they end up flying out, they try and assassinate her. The weapons we don't even get to see if they would work, because Big Mom just screams and boom, they explode. Caesar can't believe it, he's kind of in tears that his invention was just easily destroyed. They're all like escaping thanks to Caesar in his gas form. He's flying away with them all. You know, the events of that arc happen. And side note there, how would you guys feel about if I started reviewing the arcs of One Piece? The only one I'm a little bit hesitant about is the Romance Dawn and the Orange Islands. Do you reckon I should put that together as one? Or, knowing me, like the goddamn calamity of the Beast Pirates, do you reckon Jack is going to jack and be able to make a 30-40 minute video on 3 episodes of Romance Dawn? Let me know down in the comments if you guys think I'd be able to accomplish it. Either way, all the good guys escape. Caesar is left there. he ends up having to go back because he can't really get away because of how Big Mom's territory's set up. There's surveillance everywhere. But in a cover story, he meets up with Germa 66. He ends up going with them. He actually helps them escape from Katakuri Oven by doing this gas that causes them to have illusions. He pulls out a little bit of an Itachi Uchiha move there. But they all end up getting away, and he meets up with Judge, his former comrade, and they join the Neomads. Well, they don't join, they create the new Geomads. Basically a reshoot of their former, better group. But anyway, they formed this group so they could be better than Vegapunk, because, like I said, they're petty SOBs, and they don't like that Vegapunk is so much smarter than them, so they live their entire lives trying to be better than him. I'm not going to touch on, because I haven't had to put spoiler warnings for anything here, because most of it's stuff that's been out for a while. Just so I don't, detract people from wanting to watch this video, I'm not going to get into the events of Egghead and what we learn about Caesar there. It's very, very, very little. We learn about his reaction on a certain incident, which happened in the last two chapters. I believe it was 1120. And we get, well, we don't get, but we can assume how he would be feeling with the results of a certain character's, what happens to them in that arc. If you guys know, you know, and, you guys are smart enough to know probably what I would say about how Caesar would feel about something like that. Anyway, that kind of wraps up everything about his, his role in the story. It also, like I said, what did I say about his personality? What type of personality does he have? A motherfucking crazy personality. That's all we need to know for that section. But we'll go over his powers a little bit. I've talked about his feats before. In an underhanded way, he's quite a deadly opponent. He's not by no means like a powerful character. Luffy can handle him pretty well, and Luffy can handle him just in Gear 3rd, handle an amped up Caesar. So just a regular Caesar with no Shinokuni, Luffy's kind of just stomping without much effort. But in underhanded ways, he's quite tricky. And it's not like we know that Luffy's very susceptible to opponents using trickery to get around him. But these were characters like Robin, Frankie, Smoker, Nami, and Usopp, like quite good head on your shoulders, intelligent characters. And he was still able to take them all down. So with the benefit of surprise, Caesar could potentially take down most characters in One Piece. I've said it. Like, do you reckon and it all kind of comes down to his airless world technique. Let's touch on the other ones real quick. He's obviously able to exude poison gas. He's able to fly, which is a very underrated ability, flying. He has a goddamn lightsaber. It's not a lightsaber, but he uses these gases to ignite a blaze sword. It's kind of like the weapons from Skypiea that Wiper used to use. He has a Kamehameha, because why the fuck not? He can ignite flammable gases. He has the ability Gastanet, where he claps them and it causes explosions, which can be enhanced through Smiley. That's why if I ever do, because I think what I'm going to do from now on, at least with One Piece, for you guys for future knowledge, I'm going to do character analysis videos, and then I might do videos on specific devil fruits and spend half an hour talking about that. But that's pretty much his main set of powers. I'm just trying to think if I missed any. I don't think I have, other than that he can bring gases into himself to enhance his strength, like with the Shinokuni that we mentioned. It's quite unquantifiable, though, how much that impacts his strength. But the airless world ability, his most powerful technique, would that work on someone like Kaido, for instance? Now, I don't reckon it would, because I reckon if he started, even if like it like started affecting Kaido being able to breathe, I reckon Kaido rips out the Kanabo and just goddamn Thunder Buguas his head off. But Luffy wasn't able to do it. Him, it doesn't. It's not. Now this is my own interpretation of this. From like years ago when I like looked into his Devil Fruit more, like on his wiki page, I don't remember seeing it, but I don't think it takes just the oxygen out of the air. I think it actually robs the oxygen that they currently possess. So I don't like. No, that's not necessarily that. No, that shouldn't be true. Because if that happened, you should just immediately collapse. But Luffy and the others and Co kind of get affected by it immediately. Like, if you took all the air out of my living room that I'm sitting in, I would still be able to, like, make my way to another room. I would be able to make my way out of the house, for instance, by the breath that I still have in my body and being able to hold it. Like, most people, I reckon, would be able to hold their breath for an average of 30 seconds. More adept people at it, like, I'm not talking about crazy people, but just more adept people would be able to hold it for a minute and a half. Crazy people can hold it for minutes. But it really affects Luffy immediately. And so who knows what's going on there? It may just be, it may just be an anime effect, not an anime, just One Piece effect that Oda wanted to throw in. Either way, it's quite debilitating the technique and could take out most people in the series that didn't have a prior knowledge to it. Even those that did, people like Luffy and Robin would be able to get away with it. Luffy stretching his head back to where there is air. Robin, I assume, would be able to create like a mouth somewhere else and take in air there. Oh, sorry. If Robin knew what was happening, Robin would be a hard counter to Caesar. But characters like Zoro and Sanji and stuff like that, you would assume that as they're losing breath, they would just be able to take him down. Maybe they need a certain level of strength before you can incapacitate or kill Caesar while you're like losing your breath. Like, because we all know Kaido would be able to do it. It's goddamn Kaido. He's a Chad. But like, I don't know what the level of strength you would need to be able to do that. Because, like we said, he takes down Luffy. Because we have Luffy go to attack him, and he misses because, Caesar turns into gas and stuff, and he tries to attack again, but his attacks are just not even hitting him because of the loss of oxygen. So, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. I feel like I'm just rambling now about this ability. Let me know down in the comments, do you think that, let's replace Luffy there with Sanji and Zoro, do you reckon they would have been able to do something to get a result different than Luffy, or do you reckon they would have been taken down there as well? And also let me know down in the comments, if they had prior knowledge of it, what would their counters be to the Airless World technique? Because other than, like, Sanji would probably have a better counter to Zoro being able to, like, airwalk. Would he be able to airwalk in an airless world? There's a goddamn philosophical question for you. But, Sanji's faster than Zoro, so Sanji would probably have a better defense of getting out of the range of it. But how do you guys reckon they would handle it? Just Zoro run out of the range of it, then turn around and fire off flying slash at him? Who knows? Let me know down in the comments. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to... Actually, one last thing. I know this video is going long. For the longest time, lots of people theorized of Caesar joining the Straw Hats. Let me know that down in the comments as well, if you were ever one of those people that thought that. Because as much of a scumbag as I thought he was, I thought Oda might have considered giving him redemption. Like, he has to stay along with the Straw Hats due to plot convenience, and he ends up not becoming like a morally good person, but a slightly less scumbag individual to the point that the Straw Hats can tolerate him. The biggest theory why me and a lot of people thought he may have joined is because he would fill that scientist route. What am I talking about, Jack? The scientist aspect of the Straw Hat crew, you know, archaeologists, navigators, swordsmen, cooks, musicians, stuff like that, the roles that they all play. We thought he could have been one because he was a scientist. Of course, Chopper kind of dabbles in that area, but he's his, like, doctor. But I feel like that was the main reason. The fact that he would fit that category, and the fact that he was around the Straw Hats for so long. You guys can't underestimate just how many years he was actually with these people for. Anyway, that's just a thing I wanted to mention in it. Let me know down in the comments if that's something you guys thought would happen. We all know that scientist role may be fulfilled in the most recent arc. Let me know what actually avoid spoilers down in the comments, guys. Don't let me know that. But do you all think that there's going to be a scientist that joins, and we all know who I'm talking about here, if you've read the most recent chapter? Is a scientist going to be joining the One Piece Pirates? God damn, the Straw Hat Pirates. That's my cue that I've been talking too long. It's been a pleasure deciphering Caesar Clown. I've been Jack Cypher. It's been great talking to you guys. Cypher out.